Sympatheia. Imagine you're walking through a forest after a gentle rain, watching how a single drop of water on one leaf somehow causes another leaf, 20 feet away, to tremble and release its own droplet. There's no visible connection between them, no thread you can trace with your eyes. Yet the movement ripples through the canopy like a whispered secret, passing from tree to tree. The ancient Stoics had a word for this invisible web that connects all things: sympatheia. You witness it everywhere once you begin to look. Your mood shifts when you enter a room where someone has been crying, even if you know nothing of their sorrow. A flock of birds wheels and turns as one, as if sharing a single mind. But here's what makes Sympatheia so mysterious. How can things be both completely separate and utterly connected at the same time? This is the beautiful paradox that the Stoic philosophers wrapped their minds around over 2,000 years ago. They propose that everything in the universe is woven together in an intricate web of mutual influence and shared destiny. Every grain of sand, every human heart, every distant star participates in one vast, breathing organism. Yet we experience ourselves as isolated islands of consciousness, making our own choices, living our own lives. The word sympatheia comes from the Greek meaning feeling together or shared experience. Marcus Aurelius wrote about it in his Meditations, describing the universe as a single living creature with one substance and one soul. He saw the cosmos not as a collection of separate objects bumping into each other, but as one magnificent whole where every part affects every other part, like organs in a body. On one hand, this seems to contradict everything your senses tell you about reality. You feel distinct from the chair you're sitting in, separate from the person sleeping next to you, completely independent from the stranger walking down a street halfway across the world. Your thoughts feel private, your choices feel personal, your life feels uniquely yours. On the other hand, science keeps revealing connections that the ancient Stoics could only intuit. Quantum entanglement shows us particles that somehow know about each other's states across vast distances. Ecological studies reveal how the migration patterns of whales can affect the growth of forests. Neuroscience discovers mirror neurons that fire when you simply observe someone else's actions, as if your brain is living their experience alongside them. You begin to notice sympatheia in the small moments of your daily life. When you yawn and trigger a chain reaction of yawns across a room full of strangers. When you feel inexplicably restless on a day when everyone around you seems agitated, only to learn later that there was a significant news event that affected the collective mood. When you think of an old friend moments before they call you, as if your minds briefly touched across time and space. The Stoics believed this interconnectedness wasn't just poetic metaphor, but literal truth. They taught that understanding sympatheia could transform how you move through the world. If everything is connected, then your actions ripple out in ways you can't fully comprehend. Your kindness to one person creates waves that might eventually touch hundreds of lives. Your inner peace contributes to the peace of the whole. This perspective can feel overwhelming at first. If you're truly connected to everything, doesn't that mean you're responsible for everything? But the Stoics offered a gentler interpretation. Sympatheia doesn't mean you can control all the connections. It means you can trust them. Like a drop of water in a flowing river. You don't have to understand the entire watershed to participate beautifully in its movement. Marcus Aurelius often reflected on how human beings are naturally designed to work together, like feet and hands and eyes. He wrote that we were born to collaborate, and that acting against our shared nature is like fighting against our own limbs. When you help another person, you're not being selflessly altruistic, you're caring for another part of yourself. This ancient wisdom speaks to something deep in the human experience that often goes unspoken. You felt it in moments when a stranger's smile lifted your spirits for no logical reason. You've sensed it when you walked into a place and immediately felt either welcomed or unsettled by some invisible atmosphere. You've experienced it in those uncanny coincidences that feel too meaningful to be random chance. The beauty of sympatheia lies not in proving or disproving its existence, but in holding it gently as a way of seeing. When you approach life with the assumption that everything is connected, You naturally become more careful with your words, more thoughtful in your actions, more attuned to the subtle currents of shared feeling that flow between all living things. Consider how this changes your relationship with suffering. If sympatheia is real, then the pain you feel when witnessing someone else's hardship isn't just empathy. It's a direct experience of the universe feeling its own wound. Your natural impulse to help, to heal, to comfort becomes not just a moral choice, but a cosmic instinct, like a body naturally sending healing energy to an injured limb. And what about joy? Through the lens of sympatheia, every moment of genuine happiness you experience becomes a gift to the whole web of existence. Your laughter literally brightens the world. Your peace ripples outward in ways you may never see but can trust are happening. Your contentment becomes a form of service. The Stoics taught that recognizing sympatheia can bring profound comfort during difficult times. When you feel isolated or insignificant, you can remember that you're woven into something vast and meaningful. Your struggles matter because they're part of the universe's own process of growth and self-discovery. Your healing contributes to the healing of the whole. As you settle into sleep tonight, you might imagine yourself as both a single note and the entire symphony. You're one droplet of water and the entire ocean. You're one breath and the breathing itself. The boundaries between self and cosmos begin to soften, not in a way that erases your individuality, but in a way that reveals how your uniqueness participates in something infinitely larger. Perhaps sympatheia isn't something to understand intellectually, but something to feel into gradually, like slowly lowering yourself into warm water. It's not about solving the mystery of how everything connects. It's about learning to notice the connections that were always there, waiting patiently for your attention.